Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gerdes, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
Well, welcome back to the Real Estate 401k Show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein, alongside Justin Frederick and Ryan Gerdes. Gentlemen, this is exciting. This is an exciting episode for me. We're gonna
Let me guess.
Food.
Yeah,
we're going to talk sandwiches.
You don't have to go far for that one.
So when it comes down to fast food type sandwiches, it's kind of like just fast food in general. You know, you kind of got to put them in different categories. Like a McDonald's and a Wendy's is not in the same category as like an In-N-Out or, you know, I mean, there's just different categories, but at the end of the day, different levels of fast food. So we're not talking about gourmet sandwiches, but when it comes down to the fast food variety of sandwiches, what's your go-to? What's your favorite?
I don't mind waiting, I'll be honest with you. But if I'm going to stop into a place and just grab a sandwich, then I like Quiznos. I like, I know we're going to get there. I do like Jersey Mike's. But for me, a local joint, Stumpy's.
Okay,
dude,
that's
he always knows the local joints.
Oh no, just Stumpy's. All those years.
Never tried it.
Of doing the radio show on 92.3 KTAR. That was our go-to Stumpy's, man. They just freaking know how to make a sandwich.
Dude, it's unreal. They have
but it's not a chain.
It's not a chain, and it's not fast. So it's not even expeditious.
Well, if you are traveling here or even live here in Arizona in the Phoenix area, you definitely want to check out Stumpy's.
Oh, it's
and they're not even a sponsor of ours.
No,
yeah.
But still go.
Have you guys ever had Heidi's?
Hell yeah.
So I'm really disappointed.
They went out of business.
They went out of business,
yeah.
and that place was always packed too. I don't understand how they went out of business.
They were
I think
a product
they didn't.
of COVID.
Oh, and they were never open for dinner. I think that probably hurt them.
Yeah.
But Heidi's was one of my favorites, and it was super close to the office. But we have Jimmy John's across the street. Jersey Mike's is right down the street, so I take advantage of them most of the time. But I'd really like to see a Heidi's kind of. Or maybe a Stumpy's. I've never been there, but
for those who don't know, Heidi's is like a New York style deli. You know, you get that mile high pastrami on rye. Oh,
so
it's
good.
Unbelievable.
Let's go.
Well,
it's closed.
It's
All
closed.
right, we're done. Well, for me, I think of the fast food sandwich variety. I'd probably have to go with Porta Subs. Porta Subs. I love Porta Subs. And but anyway, so in the news. And we're really not here. The entire episode's not about sandwiches, and we apologize if we made you hungry. But we've done it to ourselves. I'm
Don't
starving
apologize.
now. I'm starving. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
You don't have to lie to
Sorry,
me.
not sorry.
All right. So for the Phoenix area, the area director and franchisee for the sandwich chain Jersey Mike's, he just purchased, and I think he got a smoking deal. Because we're talking about Silverleaf community, one of, I think, the most premier and prestigious gated golf communities in the entire state of Arizona, located in the North Scottsdale area. But he just purchased a 6,000 plus square foot home in Scottsdale Silverleaf community for $5.8 million. 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, and a butler's pantry with its own kitchen. There is nothing in our search parameters that allow us to click a button, butler's pantry. But when you're talking about Silverleaf community, not too bad. I think it's a smoking deal. But really, where the conversation that I want to take is talking about luxury homes and what constitutes as a luxury home. And so we want to encourage you to go ahead and consider texting the word luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. That's luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. I think, Ryan, for luxury buyers, and I remember the day, I mean, just right before COVID or right through COVID, it was basically considered anything above $800,000 to be luxury. I don't know whether that number holds true.
Not for me.
Yeah. Where's that number for you?
Obviously, location, but all things considered, if you're, in one of the more, luxury areas, probably about 2 million. This is kind of the threshold, maybe 1.75.
Justin?
It's crazy how that number has increased significantly, I feel like, in the last few years. But I would have to say 2 million is probably where I would say luxury. Because, you can say higher end without being luxury at this point.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting, it's an interesting point because for me it was always, $1 million plus. And then I remember when we bought our house, we got a great house. It's a good size house. It's not in a luxury neighborhood. And I always used to say, because we all get those calls and those text messages, people offering cash. And I would always just say, $1 million, because I'll take $1 million all day long. Well, now my house is worth more than $1 million. And I can assure you, it's not in a luxury neighborhood, and it's not a luxury home.
Well, and you can't have a luxury home if you have kids. It's just impossible.
So the traps. I think for people who are selling a home, that it would be considered luxury. And I love your point, Ryan, because I do think a lot of it does come down to area as well, because there are some areas in Arizona where you can buy a house for $1 million, 1.1, and I would throw it into that luxury category,
Sure.
just based on area specific. But a cookie cutter home worth over $1 million is probably not luxury in my mind. But the trappings for a luxury seller or a buyer for a luxury home is that term luxury. I've got to have an agent that is a luxury agent, or I got to have a brokerage that is a luxury brokerage. Their sign has got to have gold trim or metallic trim, and it's just got to scream luxury. And I think buyers and sellers, they get caught up in, I don't know whether it's the prestige or lack of research, but they get caught into that, I got to have a luxury agent. And at the end of the day, Ryan, I think it's a trap, because it doesn't matter price point or area in my mind. It's always about numbers, and it's always about negotiating. I don't care if my agent's a luxury agent or not. What I care, are they bulldogs? Do they know how to negotiate? Do they know how to protect my interests outside of just having the term luxury on my business card or sign or presentation materials?
Well, you already know that you and I are cut from the same cloth whenever it comes to that. So, I mean, we've always just been numbers focused and trends, but the reality is luxury does breed luxury. And so I learned a very valuable lesson. I don't know how valuable it is, but it was definitely something that really put my brain churning. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he does a lot of real estate up in the Vegas area. Brian Mitchell and his team, they're fantastic. But I was talking to him, and they have one of their agents that does a lot of luxury, properties out in California, and it was crazy to me, because when we bought a property out there, and someone wanted to charge me $20,000 just to paint a 1,800 square foot home. I was like, you're outside of your mind. I mean, are we using gold paint? like what's going on here? And
that's old school. Bringing back the lead-based paint. It's a lot more expensive if you
well,
want to go lead-based, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't find it anymore.
It glows in the dark.
Supply and demand,
and so do you.
Yeah. It's repellent from pretty much anything, and they actually take pride in the fact that they have to spend more for things like that. And I was like, just, walk me through that, right? Like, how does that, I mean, if so many people have all this money, how are they making all this money if they're throwing it away on something that they could easily get for literally a quarter of the cost? And it's just like my brain just started churning on that, because it happens out here a lot too. We get a lot of people that just, they say, hey, look, if it's going to be good, it must be expensive, and that's just a mindset I've never really been able to grasp. But I do know that it exists. I have a very good eye for quality, but it has more to do with workmanship and quality of materials and craftsmanship and creativity. I have a very good eye for that. But if I know that I can buy it for $1 million over here, or if I can build a home for $1 million, but if I walk across the street to a different contractor and they charge me $2 million for the same exact materials, craftsmanship, etc., guess who I'm going with?
Yeah.
The $1 million contractor. That being said, there's a market out there for people that do want to spend that $2 million because for them it gives them that peace of mind that I'm for sure getting the quality that I expect out of it. Because maybe they just don't have the time to do the homework or whatever. And when you're talking about this property here in Silverleaf, you're right. 5.8 sounds like a very reasonable number. And I got to think that that our guy over here at what is he on? Not Jimmy John's. It's
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's.
Way to stay with us.
Yeah. Oh,
Way to follow the conversation.
we were going all down the track of all the different sandwich shops. So. Excuse me, smart ass. He probably looked at it and said, "Look, I feel like I'm getting good quality luxury without having to pay, $10, $11 million, which, those exist." So I mean, that's my knee-jerk reaction to hearing this.
All right, if you'd like some more information about luxury transactions, whether you have a luxury home you're wanting to put on the market, or you're looking to acquire a luxury home, go ahead and text the word luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. That's luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. Justin, I know on the mortgage side of business you work with, and we know it's true. We just don't like to talk about it. We know that you work with other agents, that you moonlight, you cheat on us, and you're not very
Way
faithful.
to put it
Yeah. We just don't like to think about
you don't like
it
to share?
or accept it.
I appreciate that.
But
It means you care.
yeah. But with that being said, so you work with all types of different agents, all types of price points. Luxury doesn't necessarily always mean better because you are the numbers guy behind everything. What really comes down to is negotiations, price, concessions, and so forth. And there is no test. There is no application or governing board to approve an application for you to become a luxury agent. So it's just a bunch of letters.
I mean, I don't want to degrade that niche.
We'll let
but
Ryan do-
let's,
we'll
let's
let Ryan
be,
do
yeah,
that. He's
let's
good at
let's
that.
be real.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know, at least us in the business, that they pay for that stamp on their sign or their business card. It doesn't mean that they do luxury transactions. And I would have to say, from my experience and the agents that I work with that do have the stamp, I don't really ever see them do much luxury. I feel like they're trying to break into that market based on those stamps and that what they feel like is a qualification for them to be able to break into that market. But reality is, I feel like that market is more of like a word of mouth market. I use this agent. This is who you should use. Maybe people moving and transferring from another state are looking up luxury agents. But me, myself, being in the business, I definitely wouldn't run to a luxury agent to do something like that. I would be exactly what you guys are talking about. I want negotiations. I want a good deal on a house. I don't want to overpay for something just because. I'd like to keep those funds for my retirement, and maybe buy another house.
Yeah.
I want to invest those funds. I want to play with those funds, whether it's investing or buying toys to be in my luxury house, or maybe building on a butler's pantry.
I still don't know what a butler's
it better come with a
pantry
butler's
is.
pantry if I'm buying $5.8 million.
Well, yeah. Well, if I'm living
You've never
in
seen a butler's pantry?
I have, but I just don't know the definition of it. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care about a butler's pantry. I would just like to have a butler.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's the problem with having a butler's pantry is you got to hire a butler.
All right, if you'd like some more information about luxury transactions, all you got to do is text the word luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. That's luxury to 623-AZ-RECON. I'll let you both chime in on this, but Ryan, people get their money from all different places in all different ways, whether they're business owners, whether they're in sales, whether they inherit it, or whatever the case is. I do know that people who can go out and afford a $5, $6, $7, $10, $12 million property, they are cut from a different cloth than the majority of people out there. It is what it is. They have that eye of the tiger. They're bulldogs. They have built businesses, especially those that have built businesses, because they do know how to negotiate. But oftentimes they don't have those same demands on the person representing them when it comes down to either selling or buying property. What does that mean to you? What are the negotiations involved? Because for us, the negotiation strategies, I don't think change very much. It's research, it's tactic, it's strategy, it's understanding not only the numbers and the market, but it's also projections.
Well, to kind of kick things off with the first thing that you said, most of these luxury agents, they're just self-proclaimed. And then you find a handful that you're like, okay, you really are elite. You know your shit. Your service level is above and beyond. And, the things that we make sure that we're checking all the boxes for everything that we do, whether they're buying a $500,000 home or a $10 million property, whatever. There's definitely a difference in people out there. And there's plenty of people out there that have that, that have given themselves that title, but then, they go above and beyond. On the negotiation side, there is no difference. I think that probably the biggest difference is the confidence whenever it comes to seeing that many zeros on a contract. Definitely, I know that when I first started off, when I was in my early 20s, if you'd have put that many zeros in front of me, I would have been intimidated, right? And then we build and we grow, and then it's like, okay, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, kind of ends up being a walk in the park as far as the numbers go, because I'm still negotiating with the same tact. Now, what I found is that more patience is involved, because there are less people in that echelon, as you had said, that can afford a property like that. So sometimes those negotiations can go a little bit slower, because I don't want to jump the gun. And generally speaking, if we move too fast on some of these things, it can show as a sign of desperation. And when we're dealing with millions of dollars, it's a little bit different than if there's a $10,000 adjustment. It could be in the difference of me getting, an additional $250,000 off the price of the home, or additional terms and conditions that favor better for a buyer when it comes to 1031 money, or allowing to move investment funds, because most people that have that kind of money, they don't have their money just sitting there in savings accounts.
100%.
They're having it in places that is either
working.
Yeah, it's either working for them, or it's being harbored from taxes, or they're doing something smart with it, because that's how they got there, right? And so the negotiations can be a little bit trickier on that front, because of that money movement. And so just having the wherewithal and having the people behind you that are making sure that client gets good, sound financial advice on what that looks like, whether they're selling or they're buying, because that's another big error that I see a lot of people in the luxury realm make, is they sell a property and then they have $5 million just sitting there doing nothing for them. They have no plan.
Yeah, what do you do with the money? And that's
Right.
what we do is we've already got that mapped out for you.
Right, or at least we have options, right? It's your money. You make it. You make your own decisions. We're going to educate you. We're going to give you all the pros and the cons from every which way, and then from there you can say, hey, look, this is what I want to do with it, and then we help you execute.
Well, if you got $5 or $6 million cash and you're trying to figure out how to spend it, we'd love to do a free consultation down in Cancun on your dime. That would be fantastic, right?
On your yacht.
Yeah. Justin, any thoughts to that?
Yeah, I love what Ryan said. Desperation. I feel like that's the key word here. Is I feel like a lot of agents, you can feel their desperation when it comes to that many zeros in front of them. And I feel like if you're in that market looking to purchase and you have an agent in front of you, then you can feel any type of desperation. You're going to want to cut ties because it's got to be non-emotional, logical transaction. You don't need them to make their year off of this transaction.
You want the other side of the table to be emotional.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You do. But on your side, you want to be completely logical about what you're doing with those funds. This is a huge investment, and you want to make sure that you have somebody in your side of the court that's going to direct you in that avenue, in that way, to make sure that you're getting the best for your money.
So, Mike, when you see a luxury property that's overpriced,
Yeah.
and you have a buyer that says, "Gosh, I love this home. I want to
Love
buy
it.
Want it."
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.